Hi, I'm Emily Mielstein with the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council, and this is a public hearing video for Reef Fish Amendment 49, which considers making modifications to sea turtle release gear requirements for federally permitted commercial or for-hire vessels with reef fish permits in the Gulf of Mexico, and it also looks at modifying the framework procedure for the reef fish fishery. So we'll start with a little background. Sea turtles and small-toothed sawfish can be injured or killed if they're hooked or entangled in fishing gear. In 2005, the Council received a biological opinion that required that reasonable and prudent measures be taken to minimize stress and increase survival rates of sea turtles and small-toothed sawfish. As a result, the Council developed Reef Fish Amendment 18A, which requires vessels with federal commercial or charter headboat permits for reef fish to possess a specific set of release gear and comply with release protocols, to have an up-to-date copy of a document called Careful Release Protocols for Sea Turtle Release with Minimal Injury, and also to post the National Marine Fisheries Service Sea Turtle Handling and Release Guidelines aboard their vessel. We're here because 3 new sea turtle release gears and 1 modified gear have been tested and approved for handling and releasing incidentally caught sea turtles. We're also here because the framework procedure for the reef fish fishery does not currently allow changes to be made to sea turtle and other protected resource release gear handling requirements. So we're simply looking at 2 actions in this document. The first looks at modifying sea turtle release gear requirements for vessels with federal reef fish permits in the Gulf of Mexico, and the second looks at modifying the reef fish framework procedure. Currently, commercial and charter headboat vessels with federal reef fish permits are required to carry a dip net, cushioned support device, a short-handled dehooker for internal hooks, a short-handled dehooker for external hooks, bolt cutters, a monofilament line cutter, and long-nose or needle-nose pliers. Vessels that have a freeboard height above 4 feet have to also carry a long-handled line clipper, long-handled dehookers for both internal and external hooks, and long-handled device to pull an inverted V. Additionally, vessels have to carry at least 2 of the following mouth openers: a block of hardwood, a set of 3 canine mouth gags, a set of 2 dog chew bones, a set of 2 rope loops covered with protective tubing, a hank of rope, a set of 4 PVC splice couplings, or a large avian speculum. 2 alternatives in Action 1. The first alternative is the no action alternative, and that would not modify the regulations to allow for the use of newly approved sea turtle release gears. The second alternative, which is the current preferred alternative, would modify the regulations to allow for the use of a new collapsible hoop net, dehooking device, and a small turtle hoist, as well as set a new minimum size limit for the long nose or needle nose pliers that are required to release incidentally hooked sea turtles. So if the Council selects their preferred alternative 2, then the small turtle hoist or collapsible hoop net could be carried in place of the dip net. And also a new option for a short-handled dehooker could be carried on board for external hooks. And then the new minimum size limit for long nose or needle nose pliers would be set at 11 inches because fishermen had stated that it was difficult to find manufacturers that made the long nose or needle nose pliers that were the approximate 12 inches that are specified in the regulations. Action 2 considers making modifications to the reef fish framework procedure. The Council can suggest regulations through one of 3 mechanisms. First is through a fishery management plan or amendment. Second is through an emergency or interim rule, and third is through a framework action. Right now, changes to protected species release gear and handling requirements can only be made through a fishery management plan amendment. Now that process takes a long time, so the Council is considering allowing such changes to be made through a framework action. The first alternative is the no action alternative, and that would not modify the reef fish framework procedure. The second alternative, which is the Council's preferred alternative, would modify the reef fish framework procedure to include changes to release gear requirements and handling protocols for sea turtles and other protected resources. The Council then has 2 sub-options. Sub-option A, which is currently a preferred, would allow modifications to release gear requirements for sea turtles and other protected species. And suboption B would allow modifications to handling requirements for sea turtles and other protected species. So the Council would like to hear your comments before taking final action on this amendment. You can submit your comments by following this link online, or you can simply email us at golfcouncil@golfcouncil.org. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and send us your thoughts.